Every organization connected to the internet today is, well, basically a target. It really isn't a question of if a cyber incident might happen anymore.
No, it's definitely when.
Exactly. It's when. But the good news, maybe the empowering part, is that how you prepare, how you respond, that can make a huge difference. It can seriously reduce the damage.
Absolutely. Turn a potential catastrophe into, well, maybe just a bad day.
Right. So today we're doing a deep dive. We're unpacking the best practices for responding to cyber incidents, reporting them, and we're using a really solid guide from ISEngineers as our foundation. For any organization that's online today, it's not if an incident happens, it's when.
Yeah.
ISEngineers really stresses that.
Yeah.
How will you respond? That's what makes the difference in how bad the damage is.
Absolutely. And, the advice we're digging into, it comes from serious experience. Ricardo Van Remmen, ISEngineers CEO and founder, deep background in networks, security, all sorts of sectors. Their whole focus is protecting the valuable stuff. People, physical assets, think surveillance, access control.
Yeah, the physical side too.
And crucially for us today, your information. Cybersecurity, confidentiality, integrity, availability, the whole package. And our mission for you, the listener in this deep dive, is really to cut through all the dense information. We want to pull out the essential insights, the actionable steps, turn what feels overwhelming into clear strategies. Preparation, response, recovery.
Kind of like a shortcut.
Exactly. Your shortcut to building real cyber resilience, not just checking boxes.
Okay, let's start where defense always starts, before anything happens. Before the data breach, before the ransomware attack.
Yeah.
Before you even get a whiff of trouble. What can you actually do proactively to stack the odds in your favor?
Well, the core idea is proactive planning. Simple as that, but hard to do right. It's about having solid procedures already in place.
Right.
Procedures designed to limit damage right away, keep work stoppages to a minimum, and, importantly, make it easier for law enforcement to actually step in and help effectively.
Well, it's about reducing the chaos before it hits.
Precisely. Preparedness equals less chaos.
And often, the first step isn't even technical, is it?
Yeah.
It's getting senior management involved.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just shove cybersecurity onto the IT department's plate. Why is it so critical to get the top brass educated about these threats?
That's a great point because, well, look, the big decisions, the resources, the priorities, they all come from the top.
Right.
If senior leadership doesn't really get how badly an incident can hurt things, operations, sure, but also product trust, customer confidence, even the company's value, then cybersecurity just becomes another line item, easily cut.
Yeah.
So regular briefings, maybe even preparedness exercises tailored for them, that's way better than just sending a tech report up the chain.
Get them to feel the potential pain a bit.
You got it. Make it real for them.
So once management understands the threat landscape, how do you figure out what needs the most protection? The guide calls this identifying your crown jewels. What does that actually mean day to day, and how do you find them?
Crown jewels isn't necessarily about, the most expensive server. It's about what's absolutely mission critical.
Okay.
For one company, it might be their email system. For another, it's intellectual property, maybe source code, or patient data integrity for a hospital.
Right. Things you absolutely cannot function without, or things that would cause catastrophic harm if lost or exposed.
Exactly. Catastrophic harm. Existential harm sometimes. And that brings up a really important question for you listening right now. If your organization got hit tomorrow, what single thing, asset, data set, system would keep you awake at night worrying? That's probably your crown jewel.
That's a powerful way to think about it. Now, the guide mentions the NIST cybersecurity framework. Great resource, free. Helps with internal risk management. But what about risks coming from outside, like vendors?
Yeah, that connects to the bigger picture, doesn't it? The sort of uncomfortable truth that your own security is only as strong as its weakest point.
And that point might not even be yours.
Very often it isn't. It could be a third-party vendor, a law firm, a service provider, anyone who has legitimate access to your network or your data.
So you need to assess their risks too.
Absolutely. It's part of your risk landscape.
Right.
A chain's only as strong as its weakest link, right? Even if that link is technically someone else's problem.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. Now, the actual incident response plan. The guide is pretty emphatic. Have an actionable plan in place now. Not just have a plan, but have it ready now. Why the urgency, and what makes a plan truly actionable.
Because the middle of a crisis is the absolute worst time to be figuring out what to do.
Right. You don't want to be writing the instructions while the fire is burning.
Exactly. An actionable plan isn't just theory, it's concrete. Specific procedures, up-to-date contacts, clear timelines, key decision makers identified for different scenarios.
So everyone knows their role.
Yes. Who talks to the public? Who handles the tech mitigation? Who calls law enforcement? Who deals with the legal side? It takes the guesswork out when every single second counts.
And here's a detail that jumped out at me, maybe feels a bit old school. The guide strongly recommends having hard copies of the plan available. In our digital age, why is that paper copy so vital?
Well, just imagine a ransomware attack locks up your entire network.
Oh, right.
Everything's encrypted, including your digital incident response plan.
Suddenly it's useless.
Completely useless. Hard copies mean you still have your roadmap, and just having the plan isn't enough either. You need to practice it.
Like fire drills.
Exactly like fire drills. Regular exercises, whether they're full simulations or just tabletop discussions where you talk through scenarios, that builds familiarity. It makes sure the plan stays current as people change roles, as threats evolve.
Makes sense. Beyond the plan itself, what about other proactive steps?
Right.
Relationships, policies, things to set up before trouble hits.
Building relationships ahead of time is huge, especially with law enforcement like the FBI field office.
Why before?
It just smooths things out immensely. If you already have a contact, if they know who you are before you're calling in a panic, it helps with information sharing later too. And then there are internal policies.
Like what?
Simple things sometimes, like having a clear, fast process for revoking computer access for employees who leave, especially IT staff.
Ah, the insider threat.
Yeah, whether it's malicious or just accidental, it can prevent a lot of damage. Basic stuff, but really important.
Okay, let's talk tech basics. What are some fundamental cybersecurity procedures that give you, like, the most bang for your buck? Maybe they won't stop a sophisticated state actor, but they handle the common stuff.
Right. Patch management is huge. It sounds boring, but so many breaches still happen because of unpatched vulnerabilities. It's like locking your doors and windows every night.
Good analogy.
Then you've got strong access controls. Who gets access to what? Network segmentation, especially walling off those crown jewels we talked about. Reasonable password rules, multi-factor authentication wherever possible. Firewalls, obviously. But maybe the most critical and often overlooked.
What's that?
Enabling and maintaining server logs. Good logs.
You mentioned logs earlier for assessment. Why are they so fundamental?
Because they are the digital breadcrumbs. They're absolutely central to almost any investigation. If your logs aren't on, or they're overwritten too quickly, or they don't capture the right info, you're basically flying blind when something happens.
Got it. Log everything important. Okay, moving to specific tech and services. What should organizations have lined up before an incident?
Think about tools for intrusion detection, obviously. Data loss prevention is key, and that includes robust, tested, off-site backups. That's your lifeline against ransomware.
Off-site is crucial there.
Absolutely. And maybe traffic filtering services if denial of service attacks are a major concern for you. But the key is understanding what each tool does. Backups help with ransomware, but not so much if data's been quietly stolen, right?
Different tools for different threats.
Exactly, and you have to test them.
Right.
Regularly. A backup you haven't tested isn't a recovery plan, it's just wishful thinking.
Good point. What about the cloud? So many organizations rely heavily on cloud storage now. What's the cybersecurity angle there?
The cloud brings benefits, definitely. Scalability, convenience. But it's not some magic security shield. You, the organization, must understand and assess the security provided by your cloud vendor. Is it enough for your needs?
And the contracts.
Crucially, yes. Do your contracts allow third parties, like law enforcement or your own incident response firm, to actually access your data in the cloud if there's an incident? You might be renting the space, but the data and the ultimate responsibility for it is still yours.
Right. Okay, network monitoring. Essential for seeing what's happening, but it bumps up against legal issues, privacy laws. How do you monitor effectively but stay legal?
Yeah, that's a sensitive area. Monitoring traffic is critical, but it does involve federal statutes, both civil and criminal. The standard, most common way to ensure compliance is getting prior consent from users.
Like those login banners.
Exactly. Those by clicking OK, you agree to monitoring banners. Getting explicit written acknowledgement from employees about monitoring policies is even better. It just removes ambiguity.
Makes sense. And speaking of legal stuff, why involve lawyers before an incident? Maybe even in those planning exercises.
Yeah.
Seems like you'd call them after something happens.
Because nearly every decision you make during a cyber crisis has potential legal implications. Data privacy rules, breach notification laws, information sharing regulations, potential liability. It's a minefield. Having legal counsel who understands tech and cyber incidents involved early in the planning and the exercise of.
Means they're prepared too.
Yes, they understand the context, they can advise in real time during a crisis, and they can help you avoid missteps that could cost you dearly later in fines or lawsuits. Legal readiness is just as vital as technical readiness.
Okay. One last point on preparation. Information Sharing and Analysis Centers, ISEs, what role do they play?
Keeping up with the threat landscape, new attacks, new vulnerabilities, it's just overwhelming for any single organization. ISEcs are usually sector-specific, so there's one for finance, one for energy, healthcare, etc. They collect and share actionable cyber threat intelligence among their members.
So it's like a neighborhood watch for cyber threats.
Kind of, yeah. A highly specialized one. It lets organizations leverage collective knowledge to prioritize their defenses, maybe anticipate attacks specific to their industry. It's a huge advantage.
Okay, so that covers a lot of ground on the proactive side. But even with the best plans, incidents happen. You realize you're under attack. What is the absolute first thing you need to do? Panic.
Aha! Well, try not to panic. The very first step is a rapid initial assessment. You need to figure out quickly the nature and scope. Is it malicious? Is it an accident? A tech glitch? A mix?
Why does that initial label matter so much?
Because it dictates everything that comes next. The type of help you need, the urgency, the response level you need to move from just something's wrong to, okay, what specifically seems to be wrong?
And how do you even start gathering data for that assessment when alarms are probably going off everywhere?
This is where those logs we hammered on become absolutely vital.
Right, the breadcrumbs.
You immediately dive into all available logs, system, network, application, trying to identify what systems are hit, where the attack seems to be coming from, any malware involved, if data's been moved. You're also documenting what's happening right now. Current network connections, open ports, maybe strange communications you've received. You're essentially trying to secure the digital crime scene while it's still active.
What about if an intruder gets root-level access? That term sounds bad. Why is it such a red flag?
Oh, it's incredibly bad. Root access is basically the keys to the kingdom, the highest level of privilege, like a system administrator.
They can do anything.
Pretty much anything, access any data, change anything, delete anything, and crucially, they can often cover their tracks really well, plant backdoors for later, spread silently across the network. If root access is achieved, your response has to assume they could be anywhere. Eradicating them becomes much, much harder.
Yikes. Okay, here's a tricky one during that initial chaos. The guide warns strongly against accidentally modifying data. Why is that such a big deal when you're just trying to fix things?
It's all about preserving evidence, forensic integrity. Even small changes can overwrite crucial data fragments, potentially hindering your own investigation later or making a criminal case impossible. Don't delete things you think might be relevant. And if you absolutely must make a change, say, to stop an ongoing attack, document it meticulously. What changed, why, when, who did it. Preserve the scene as much as humanly possible.
Got it. Don't tamper with the evidence, even accidentally. Now, lots of organizations bring in outside help, private incident response, or IR firms. What should you look for in a good IR firm? And do their goals ever differ slightly from law enforcement's?
Good question. You absolutely need a firm that uses forensically sound methods. They need to know how to collect evidence without contaminating it.
Right.
Now, their goals might align broadly resolve the incident, but law enforcement's primary aim is usually identifying and prosecuting the criminal. That often requires very specific technical details about the intrusion.
Where's the IR firm?
The IR firm's report will also likely detail your security weaknesses that allowed the breach. That's valuable info for you, but you might want to keep it confidential, perhaps under attorney-client privilege if lawyers engage them.
Ah, okay.
The good news is law enforcement is usually pretty flexible. They often don't need the entire internal IR report. Summaries or specific data points might be enough for their investigation. Communication is key there.
Okay, so initial assessment done. What's the next immediate priority?
Minimize ongoing damage. Containment.
What does that look like practically?
It could mean a few things. Maybe quickly rerouting network traffic, blocking attacking IP addresses if it's a denial of service, or surgically isolating the compromised parts of your network from the healthy parts.
Cutting off the infection.
Exactly. And if you're storing from backups, and hopefully you have good ones, you absolutely must verify the integrity of that backup data before you restore. Because if the backup itself is compromised, or if the vulnerability that allowed the attack still exists on the restored system, you'll just get reinfected immediately. You have to clean the wound before you put the bandage on.
Makes sense. What if you find out where your stolen data ended up? Or you think you know where the attack came from?
Tell law enforcement right away.
Why them first?
Because they have the legal tools, warrants, subpoenas, international cooperation channels to potentially seize that data or trace the attack back. Private companies just don't have that authority.
Can you contact the source network yourself? Like, tell their admin.
You can, but always coordinate with law enforcement first. You don't want to accidentally tip off the attacker or mess up their investigation. Let them guide that interaction.
Okay. Step 3 in the guide is all about recording and collecting information. We talked logs, but why is this documentation phase so critical overall?
Because memories fade, especially under stress. Details get lost. Preserving existing logs is job 1. If logging wasn't fully enabled, turn it on now, increase storage so you don't lose new data. Forensic analysis lives and dies by these artifacts. You might also use tools like network sniffers to capture live traffic if needed.
Sniffers.
Yeah, tools that capture data packets flowing across the network. But again, loop in legal counsel first to make sure you're complying with any surveillance laws.
And what about the human side of documentation during the response?
Super important. Everyone involved your team, any external firms, needs to keep a contemporaneous written log.
Meaning, write it down as it happens.
Yes, not trying to remember later who did what, when, which systems were touched, what was the observed impact. It creates an accurate timeline, minimizes reliance on memory, and is invaluable for post-incident reviews and any legal proceedings.
Yeah.
Build that paper trail.
The guide mentions making a forensic image of affected systems. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important for non-experts to understand?
Think of it as a perfect digital snapshot. A forensic image is an exact bit-for-bit copy of everything on a hard drive or other storage media.
Everything, even deleted files.
Yep. Active files, hidden files, stuff the user deleted but hasn't been overwritten yet. It captures the state of the system at that precise moment.
And why is that copy so crucial?
Because it allows investigators, whether internal, external, or law enforcement, to analyze the system thoroughly without altering the original evidence. They work on the copy. But it has to be created using special tools and procedures to be forensically sound, meaning the process itself doesn't change the data. It preserves the evidence integrity.
Like making a perfect plaster cast of a footprint.
Exactly. You don't want to smudge the original print.
Got it. Okay, step 4, notification. Who needs to know internally and externally, and why have preset triggers for internal alerts?
Your response plan needs to spell this out clearly. Who are the internal points of contact to senior management, legal, IT, communications? Notifying them quickly using secure, pre-agreed methods is vital.
Secure methods? To avoid tipping off the attacker.
Or falling prey to social engineering during the chaos, yeah. And the triggers or thresholds for internal alerts, that's to avoid crime wolf too often.
Notification fatigue.
Right. If every minor blip triggers a full C-suite alert, people stop taking it seriously. You want the right people notified at the right time based on the severity, with the right context, not just noise.
Okay, what about notifying federal responders? You mentioned building relationships earlier. Some companies used to hesitate, maybe fearing bad PR or disruption. What are the real benefits of calling them in? Are those fears still valid?
Well, federal investigators today are really focused on minimizing disruption to the victim business. Their goal is to help, and they bring tools nobody else has.
Like
Search warrants, court orders to compel ISPs or cloud providers, establish partnerships with foreign law enforcement. These dramatically increase the chances of catching the bad guys, stopping ongoing attacks, maybe even recovering stolen data.
things a private company just can't do.
Exactly. Plus, reporting voluntarily often looks good to regulators like the FTC, and it can sometimes affect your legal obligations around data breach notifications. The benefits usually far outweigh the perceived risks nowadays.
And you mentioned CISA earlier, the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act. How does that help facilitate sharing info with the government? Are there protections?
CISA is huge. It basically gives companies legal authorization to voluntarily share technical threat data, cyber threat indicators, and defensive measures with federal agencies for cybersecurity purposes.
Even if other laws might seem to prohibit it.
Yes, CISA explicitly says sharing is allowed notwithstanding any other provision of law. That's powerful. And it comes with strong liability protections for the company sharing the info. The government, in turn, treats that shared data carefully and uses it to help protect others. It's built to encourage collaboration.
Okay, so internal folks, feds. Who else might need notification?
Depends on your industry. If you're regulated finance, healthcare, your specific regulators likely need to know, often on a strict timeline.
Right.
Also, if your investigation finds evidence that other companies or individuals were compromised, maybe through your systems, they need to be notified. Letting law enforcement handle those notifications can sometimes be beneficial, keeps you somewhat insulated.
Interesting.
And one more, if you discover a new vulnerability in software or hardware during your investigation, reporting it responsibly to a central body like CISA's NCCIC helps everyone. It prevents others from falling victim to the same flaw, kind of a civic duty thing.
Okay, that covers the to-do list during an incident. Now, for the critical don'ts, what's the absolute #1 rule about communication when your systems might be compromised?
Simple but vital. Do not use a potentially compromised system, email, chat, anything running on your network to discuss your response plans or mitigation steps.
Why not? Seems convenient.
Because if the attacker is still listening in, you're literally handing them your playbook. You're telling them exactly how you plan to kick them out, letting them adapt and counter your moves. Use separate, secure channels, phone calls, a different network, and always verify the identity of anyone asking about the incident. Social engineering goes into overdrive during a crisis.
Good point. This next don't feels like it might be tempting, especially if you're angry. The guide warns very clearly, do not hack into or damage another network. Why is hacking back such a terrible idea, even if you think you found the attacker's system?
For so many reasons. First, it's almost certainly illegal. Hacking back, regardless of your motive, likely violates federal laws, maybe international ones too. You could face serious civil suits or even criminal charges yourself.
Even if you were the victim first.
Even then. And here's the practical problem. Attackers often launch attacks from other compromised systems, innocent third parties. So if you hack back, you might just be attacking another victim whose computer was hijacked, making you the bad guy in that scenario.
That's a nightmare scenario. Are there other reasons, besides the legal ones, practical reasons not to hack back?
Absolutely. You could completely derail an ongoing law enforcement investigation without realizing it. Alert the real perpetrator, cause them to destroy evidence or change tactics.
Okay.
And worse, if the attacker detects your hackback attempt, they might retaliate, escalate things, cause more damage to your organization out of spite. It's just never worth the risk.
So the advice is?
Give all the technical information you have, IP addresses, logs, indicators to law enforcement. They have the legal authority and the means to pursue it properly and safely. Don't take the law into your own hands digitally.
Right. Okay, fast forward. You've survived the attack. Things are stabilizing. Systems are coming back online. Is it finally over? Time to relax?
Not quite yet. The guide really stresses continued vigilance.
Why? If the intruder's gone?
Are they really gone? Sophisticated attackers often try to maintain persistence. They might leave behind hidden back doors, dormant malware, ways to get back in later, or they might just try attacking again using what they learned.
So you need to keep watching closely.
Yes. Maintain heightened monitoring for any weird activity, any signs of reinfection, long after you think the crisis is over. Recovery includes rebuilding trust in your systems, but that trust needs constant verification for a while.
Okay, so once you're truly recovered, operations are normal, the vigilance period has passed, what's the final essential step for long-term health?
The post-incident review. A thorough, honest look back.
The post-mortem.
Exactly. What went well, what didn't? Where did the plan work? Where did it fail? What security gaps were exposed? This is where you identify deficiencies in planning, execution, technology.
And then fix them.
Get the resources you realized you needed mid-crisis, strengthen those relationships with law enforcement, with your ISEC. It's all about continuous improvement, turning a painful experience into a catalyst for becoming much, much stronger.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, if listeners take away just a few key ideas from the ISEngineers guide, what should they be?
Well, first, be proactive. Don't wait. Planning, preparing, practicing before anything happens is paramount. Delay just makes the damage worse. Second, use policies strategically. They aren't just bureaucratic hurdles. They're tools for prevention, for awareness, for legal protection, for ensuring everyone's on the same page during a response.
Right. And third?
Third, adopt a holistic approach. Security isn't just firewalls and antivirus. It's tech, yes, but also trained people, strong policies, good legal support, and those external partnerships we talked about. It all has to work together. And fourth, prioritize by risk. Yeah, you can't defend everything equally. Focus your best efforts, your money, your attention on protecting those crown jewels.
The things that matter most.
Exactly. And finally, commit to ongoing improvement. This isn't a project with an end date. Threats change, your business changes, regular reviews, updates, exercises. Resilience is a process, not a destination.
That really drives home that cybersecurity isn't just about reaction, it's about deliberate, ongoing preparation.
Right.
Building that shield, having that roadmap ready.
For you, the listener, it really boils down to one thing, maybe. What's one small, concrete step you can take this week based on what we've discussed? One thing to strengthen your defenses, knowing what the cost of doing nothing could be.
Maybe revisit what your crown jewels really are. Or check when your response plan was last updated. Or maybe just make sure those logs are actually turned on and saving useful data.
Any of those would be a great start.
Stay curious, stay informed, and definitely stay secure.